But first, tonight we begin a year-long series of stories on early childhood education. Our first is a look at a daycare dilemma. Almost 40% of Illinois parents work evening, weekend, or odd hours, but only a small number of child care centers can accommodate those times. That can make home or family child care the best and often the only option. While it began as an informal way to care for the children of family and friends, it's now a growing business with substantial state subsidies and even a union.
The inksy winksy spider went up the water spout.
A few months after giving birth, Anjanita Tanner decided to open a business.
I was a truant officer at a high school, and school started in August, and by November I had missed 21 days of work because my daughter had chronic ear infections. I knew that if my daughter got sick again, she probably was going to have to fire me.
So she joined the ranks of some 50,000 in Illinois who provide child care in their homes. It's often referred to as family child care. She started out watching the children of friends and family out of her South Side home. Eventually, she opened Grandma's House, offering round-the-clock child care to as many as a dozen children. Natalie Fisher is an Army recruiter. Her husband, an accountant.
I work about at least 12 to 14 hours a day sometimes. I also work 6 days a week. Sometimes, my husband cannot be there Saturdays because he has things that he has to do. So we can even, have him come on Saturdays.
Antoinette Cobb's schedule at Home Depot includes weekend work.
The whole decision to go back to work was a hard one. I'm a single mother. If it weren't for this place, I honestly don't know where I would be.
For many working parents, home-based or family child care is their best option.
Family child care providers provide a critical role, particularly since welfare reform, when we told low-income mothers across the country that they had to go to work. We saw an incredible rise in the number of family child care providers.
The Welfare Reform Act of 1996 also shifted much of the welfare budget into child care subsidy programs to encourage the transition from welfare to work.
And what does duck say? Quack, 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 quack.
All of the children at Grandma's House receive subsidized child care, paid for by state and federal funds and available to low-income families. According to Illinois' reimbursement rate, Tanner should receive $25 a day per child. The government pays its portion and parents are supposed to pay the rest. But Tanner says it doesn't always work that way.
And I think if you talk to any child care provider, they would tell you that. Either you don't get the copay or you don't get the total amount of copay.
Because Tanner cares for more than 3 children, her family child care must be licensed. That means there's a yearly safety inspection from DCFS, and she's required to participate in 15 hours of professional development each year.
These are all the certificates over the years that I've gone to seminars.
The vast majority of family child care providers in Illinois, including at least 40,000 who receive government subsidies, are license exempt. Illinois law does not require licensing for homes taking care of fewer than 4 children. That means hundreds of thousands of children in Illinois receive care in homes with no safety or professional standards.
I think that our licensing regulations are too low. Right now, license-exempt providers have no requirements for training, no prerequisites for education, and in addition, they don't have the requirements of someone coming in and checking their homes.
There are many states that don't want to or do not include license-exempt providers in their child care assistance subsidy program, meaning that they don't want to pay Granny to take care of little Tommy or little Susie.
But Illinois does reimburse family members and license-exempt providers for child care, and many low-income parents choose that option, a trend some find troubling.
It's critical that we spend those dollars wisely and have oversight, regulation, and in license-exempt situations, that doesn't really happen.
There is a philosophical knee-jerk reaction to this idea that somebody's going to come in and inspect my home or inspect the place that I take my child. There is a large number of families that don't want anybody coming in checking where I store my Drano, and there's a number of parents that don't think that anybody should make a decision about who cares for my child except me.
A new statewide initiative hopes to improve the quality of family child care, not through home inspections, but voluntary training sessions. The incentive? After 3 sessions, the provider's state reimbursement goes up by 20%.
Quality is being improved by having instead this emphasis on training. And I just applaud the creativity at which our state's approaching this.
In many ways, Illinois is a trailblazer when it comes to early childhood education, including being the first state in the country to allow family child care providers who serve low-income children to unionize. A collective bargaining agreement reached with the state last year gave them their first reimbursement rate increase since 1999. But that rate is only a fraction of what many parents pay privately. On Chicago's North Side, Betsy Lozano does not accept children receiving subsidized care in her program, and she has no interest in joining a union. Her daily rate is $60, triple what Anjanita Tanner often ends up getting paid.
I would not take care of a child for $25 a day. I wouldn't pay for the hours and the amount of work that is involved in taking care of a child, the responsibility. It's a big responsibility.
What we're ultimately doing, not necessarily by design, but by result of not updating the reimbursement rate, is that we're eliminating choices for low-income families in terms of finding quality child care.
In most areas of the country, the price of child care comes close to or exceeds the cost of housing. The price for infant care is often more than tuition at a public university. For politicians and parents, providing quality care for the over 500,000 children under 6 in Illinois will likely continue to be a struggle between quality and affordability. In the last decade, the number of families in Illinois receiving child care assistance has more than doubled, and half of those children spend their days in homes that are not licensed.
Chicago Tonight segments on early childhood education are made possible by a grant from the McCormick Tribune Foundation, investing in our children, communities, and country.